Hello, my ministry collective. My name is Ali. I am here to do an energy update. It's been a while since I did a comprehensive read. So I'm going to tap in today to the Ascending Feminine Collective, and then we'll move into the Ascending Masculine Collective. So we are moving through at the moment the biggest shift in consciousness. Humanity is going through a huge spiritual awakening. The collective awakening is accelerating and it is getting bigger and bigger and bigger and harder to ignore. So we have the feminine really moving through the big aspects of reclamation and dismantling structures that have kept her bound, kept her small and in servitude. We have the masculine moving through massive shadow. So there's a split in the collective here. And when I say feminine and masculine, I'm talking about the collective energies. This is the energetic expression. We all have us. Everything is made up of masculine and feminine energy. We're going to be an expression of both of those energies, but to really understand and comprehend energy, we have to understand how polarity works and how that expresses in on an individual level and also on a collective level. So on a collective level, we have the expression of feminine and masculine energy individually within us, within a balance of those energies. I am feminine, but I have an inner masculine polarity. A man who is a masculine man, he may express predominantly as a masculine and have an inner feminine polarity. The inner feminine polarity within the masculine has been wildly underdeveloped, as has the suppression outwardly of that feminine expression, outwardly of that masculine expression within the feminine. So we are way out of balance in humanity as a result of patriarchal structures and belief systems. I won't go into the history around all of that, but that's just to give you a bit of an understanding of what humanity is moving through. We are moving through the reclamation of the divine expression of those energies and the sacred balance of those energies within us individually and also within the collective and through relationships, intimate relationships, and also the way that we relate to each other as a collective of men and a collective of women as a representation of the feminine and the masculine. So what we'll do is start with an overall read of the general. Let's have a look at the general collective awakening, the general collective consciousness, and what is happening as we sit and tap into this energy read. So we want to look at what is the current theme rolling through, anything that wants to come through, only for the highest and best. I only work with the light. I only work with highest truth, creator's truth, God, spirit, universe, however you experience that creator being. I do not do spell work. A lot of people think tarot is evil, but it's not the tool itself. It's the way that it is accessed and expressed. It's the way that it is used. I use tarot only for the highest and best through the light to bring guidance for humanity. I don't do personal readings anymore. I bring this through as part of the ministry. If you want to support my work, I'd really love that. You can find everything at the link in the pinned comments. Your support is greatly appreciated. Have a look at the pinned comments. So let's have a look at the overall energies. Please, what do we need to know for the collective of humanity? What are we moving through? I keep hearing July. There is a big transit coming through. I'm not sure of the astrological alignment, but July, like something is building. And even as I sat down to do this read, like it was sunshine, clear skies this morning. And as I was sort of just feeling to get this read through, it was coming through me and I was getting really kind of um jittery in my energy and restless. I couldn't really quite focus. So my energy was quite fragmented. I had to sort of ground for a second and tap into what was coming through. And it's actually now like the wind is, it's like stormy weather. So it's come really overcast, a lot of wind around, something's really blowing in. So as I was moving through that energy and this read was starting to come through, that feels resonant there. With that in the reverse. So there's a friction at the moment. So it's like the awakening pushing through and DNA here and karma. When we clear karma, when we clear karma from within ourselves, our own path and our ancestral line, it changes our DNA expression. That's what healing is. That's what generational ancestral healing is. And that's what's happening with the collective awakening. We are moving through a karmic release individually and together as a collective. And it is clearing generational karma and actually changing the genetic expression of humanity as collective consciousness raises. So it is ending bloodlines and starting new bloodlines. Okay, so this is actually raising a lot around the truth of humanity's history. I won't go into that. I'll go into that in another video. The first card out is Earth Magic. We have this in the reverse under the deck. So earth magic. So the earth is shifting. Earth's frequency is shifting as the light pours in. So we've had since 2017, we've had a shift and spikes in the earth's magnetic resonance, the Schumann resonance, the earth's frequency or earth's heartbeat. It used to be sitting at 7.83 hertz. It's been gradually increasing. If you have a look at Schumann resonance and have a look at the graphs, we actually have really huge spikes coming through all the time. And when we do have those spikes, you can feel that. And what happens when the Earth's magnetic resonance increases, it affects our energetic field. And so we're actually in resonance with that. So the friction comes where we're resisting that and we're disconnected. So if we're not grounded, we're not connected with the earth, with nature, people are really struggling to adjust to those shifts. People are really struggling to ground and bring that light through the energy body. And you'll see that through people who, like I just did, got really restless in my energy, right? It took me a second to understand what was happening, that the energy was actually coming through to be channeled. All right. I do this professionally. I'm a medium. I've been doing this a long time. So it's taken me a long time over years to really understand how those shifts work and learn how to work with them. So a lot of people are really only just starting to have this happen, to be aware of that or to be affected by it. So we are getting more sensitive because we cannot ignore it anymore because the light is so big coming through. So that's what's happening at the moment. So if you're feeling that at the moment, it might be worthwhile looking up Schumann resonance and starting to learn a little bit about that. There's genuine science behind it. So earth magic, earth raising in frequency, it is actually changing our genetic expression if we choose to go through that process. If we're not choosing to go through that process, I'm sorry, but you're in a world of hurt because it's happening, whether we like it or not. The split is here and you'll be noticing that. What else do we have, Spirit? Vision Quest, Desert. So in the reverse, Vision Quest in the reverse, people refusing to go on the journey. Focus in the reverse, creation in the reverse. So there is a lot of friction. This feels to me like Earth, Mother. Earth is our mother. The earth is the greatest representation of feminine energy. She is who holds us. She is our mother. Original cultures knew this. This is where we came from as beings who are part of this planet. We are of the earth. So as the earth is waking up, the mother, she is starting to shift in ways that humans can't ignore anymore because humanity has extracted and exploited the earth's resources and been cut off from the earth, from mother. We've gotten ourselves now into a state where we're motherless, right? Um, Most of you will get that reference. So what's been happening is a representation of all of this coming up to the surface and understanding how we've cut ourselves off from our source. And that's the exile of the mother. So you'll notice over the last few years, there's been a lot more natural disasters, earthquakes, a lot of tectonic shifts, and general chaos and madness going on. That's not a coincidence. That is the earth shifting, and she is getting ready to fuck shit up. So women, or the feminine energies, not separate from the earth. Okay? The earth is representation of feminine energy. Women who are waking up at the moment are a representation of that and not separate from that in any way, shape, or form. I'll tell you a little story. When I started to go through my psychic opening and my awakening, and I was given the vision for setting up ministry and doing what I do, when I was getting that urge, that nudge, I had small children. I was recovering from birth and moving through the process of matrescence and motherhood, and those big changes that we go through emotionally, mentally, spiritually, through the process of motherhood and recovery in a patriarchal world. And so there was a lot happening for me at the time, and I had to take some time and space to really sit. And I remember I went and I sat. I found this sit spot. I just had this calling and I had to go sit. And I sat. And I remember the moment I sat on a headland and I just connected. I felt to just sit and connect. And as I sat, I just felt myself kind of nestle in to the earth, and I kind of, sent my energy down, and there was this moment of connection. I remember clear as day the communication that was given to me from her. I could feel absolutely everything in that moment. The grief, and I was shown these visions of, what had been happening, these natural disasters and what's been happening to the earth. But she showed me what she was feeling. And I remember the gravity of that and the depth of that, and this feeling of solidarity, because I was I was feeling that through the resonance of my own pain and grief and feeling of being just so depleted and so desperate to be seen and cared for and nurtured and held, and wanting people to know just how empty I felt at the time, and I had no more to give, right? It was just this moment where she showed me, and it was at that moment that I knew that I was in service to her, and a lot has happened since. So that was really what kicked off my journey. It was that deep connection and the understanding that I'm a part of something far, far bigger than what I was going through at the time. It put it into perspective for me and showed me that I was a part of her. And so for me, it was a no-brainer at the time. Like, there was it was, I'm doing this. I have to do this. And so that kicked off a separation for me. I had to leave my relationships. There was a lot that happened. It kicked off a lot of things in my life, and that led me to where I am today and on a big path and journey. So this is what I feel a lot of women are starting to go through, that initiation now. I feel like there's another big wave coming in, but there's also at the same time a resistance to that. And that's why all these cards are coming out in the reverse. Now, I don't know if this is the resistance of the women going through this or being asked to move through this. A lot of women know that they are in this depletion, and they get it, they know it, but they don't want to know it. There's a resistance to it. It's like, no, I'm happy, I'm comfortable here. But at the same time, there's this friction happening where they're being just shaken out of it. And for me, it was a choiceless choice for me, because if I'd stayed and went no and just stayed where I was and went, no, thank you, I'm happy in my comfortable little life. It wasn't comfortable, by the way. It would have eventually fallen down anyway. And that I went through that process. Yeah. Went back to what felt comfortable, what was familiar. And it just cycled out anyway. And so that's where we're at the moment, the collective. And this is not only feminine, this is not only women, this is the feminine energies holding on. This is the feminine, the women moving through this, particularly around motherhood and relationships in the home, but also the feminine or internal feminine energy within the masculine. There's this suppression, and that's what's creating the friction here. So earth magic. But then all of these cards in the reverse: vision quest, going inward, focus, focusing on the path, or being asked to put your focus somewhere, being asked to look at something, but choosing not to, and creation in the reverse, right? Dreamtime creation, but it's in the reverse, because the feminine, when connected to the earth and herself in truth, in service to truth, that is creation energy. That is creation. And the disconnect from that is why we are where we are as a collective today. Because the feminine creation, the disconnection from the womb, the disconnection from the earth, that is why the world is as it is now. And the feminine is being asked to wake up and come back into this. So, one more, please. Mother Earth wants to speak today. She's pissed. So no one's listening. And I've been feeling this in my own. Like, I tend to go through these like big healings, and I've been in tears the last week and in a really heavy shift. And I'm like, oh, there's something big coming. I know that it's bigger than me. I'm moving through it in my own healing, my own life. But I'm like, no, this is something big. And I can feel her speaking through me, feeling through me, expressing through me. The anger, the feeling unseen, just feeling like forgotten. And it can't go on like that. Yeah, cave, sanctuary, and new beginnings, dawn and new beginnings. So humanity is about to go through a rebirth, a dark night of the soul. You cannot go through a rebirth and get to this without going inward into the dark night of the soul. And so that's what I feel is coming. The July connection, that's what I'm getting, is we're moving further towards that, and I'm feeling it. This is like forced awakening, like you can't avoid it. Being shoved into the cave, rounded into the cave. And this, I'm getting a download. So that is metaphorical. The cave, the sanctuary being, I don't know whether this is to do with something that's coming in the physical around July, whether that's around people being forced into or out of their distractions taken away. I'm feeling that it is a significant event coming in, but ultimately to bring people into, similar to what happened with the pandemic, where people had to really look at that and make some big changes. Like, people had to sit with themselves without all of the distractions and start to change the way that they live their lives, right? And so the people who kind of just went back and went, yeah, no, I'll keep doing things the way that, I just heard it was a warning shot across the bow. That was just what came in, a warning shot across the bow. So what's coming in now, this is heavy, sorry, but what's coming in now has got nothing on that. And the people who did make those changes and went through the healing and went through, the realignment, these people now are they're going to be able to navigate this. But the people who refused, I just saw wake up call then. I just opened people who refused the wake up call. Look at that. That's what's coming, right? And water represents emotion. I can feel it coming. It is going to push people into an absolute awakening. It is really big, but ultimately to come into this. So that's the thing. It's like, where are you now? What have you been avoiding? This is where it's going to be really obvious who is in truth and who is not. And anything that is not built on truth will not survive this. Relationships, jobs, work, ways of being, whatever it may be. So let's get into a read for the feminine. Take what resonates, leave the rest. If it's for you, it's for you. You might get some messages may resonate, some may be specific. Sometimes I get specific messages coming through. I'm just pulling general collective, okay? So if it's for you, it's for you. You'll know. Uh, Higher self. This is feminine coming into the heart space, into truth, into true resonance. What is real for you and what is not? Tapping into your intuition, the vast universe. So starting to come into alignment with astrological alignments and with the cycles, cosmic cycles, because this is where the feminine was disconnected and forced to live within the cycles that we live in today. The feminine is cyclical. We are not supposed to live according to a work week. That's what the matrix is, right? So this is where women are being asked to really look at what is true for me? What are my true cycles? How am I suppressing myself? How am I cutting myself off from my true nature? And where can I recognize that I am a part of something far greater, that I am connected to the earth and also connected to, I'm getting full chills as I say this, and also connected cosmically, because everything is interconnected. And the feminine, the true embodied feminine, knows this and can tap into this. That is the source of creation. Patriarchy knew this and they disconnected the feminine from that and continue to do so. And that's why we're seeing so much friction, so much division, so much fighting back, right? Because they want to keep the feminine in her little box where she's cut off and available for exploitation, available to the distorted masculine, right? So that they can continue exploiting the earth, women's bodies, women's energy, women's labor, asserting dominance. All right. So all of this ties into that's why women's rights is coming up so loudly. Feminism being the absolute pendulum swing. We just things are really polarized right now because they're coming up to be healed and seen. And so the split is not between left and right or men and women. The divide, like the split, is in consciousness. The people who are moving through these shifts and understanding that we need to come back into some kind of balance. It is not between men and women or left and right. Okay. What I'm really witnessing at the moment is we have the right or the conservative and we have the left or progressive. We have, traditional values and progressive values. And there's like this culture war happening, but both are actually trauma responses. Both of those extreme views and rigid views are trauma responses. And so we see like the fighting and the division and the arguing and constant debating. There's a lot out there that can't hold two things to be true at the same time. So there are people who are backing themselves further and further into those ideological cages. And then there's people who don't really fit in either because both belong to the same system. Both of those wings belong to the same bird. Okay. Politically, it's political, really. Let's not get into that. Anyway, neither are healthy. Neither are healthy. Feminism, extreme feminism, is not the answer. It is not the answer, nor is extreme conservatism. And so we're seeing more and more, the honoring path. See, we're seeing more and more people back themselves into those corners thinking, the other is the enemy. That's not the way forward. So the honoring path, the divine feminine, divine masculine taking the honoring path. these people moving through this are very alone right now. I'm one of them. And if you're alone and feeling alone and you're watching me, I'm alone here too. And that's why I'm bringing this through for you. We are not alone. We just have been in our little bubbles healing and learning how to have boundaries and going through those processes, learning how to let go. All right. Because you cannot bring in new community, new higher support systems, support networks. You can't bring that in while you're still holding on to toxic dynamics. Yeah, your new life is going to cost you your old one. If you want that, you got to let go of everything that's not aligned with that. So that's the anchoring energy. One more, please, to anchor the energy for divine feminine deception. There you go. So we're like, you're about to see this. If you haven't already, you might be moving through it. You're about to see where people are in your life are deceptive, where they access your energy or where they manipulate to access your energy, where your energy is being exploited, taken advantage of, taken for granted. This is all going to be in the spotlight now. You can't unsee it. You might as well do the work. It's not easy, but it is necessary for spiritual evolution. So let's get some tarot for divine feminine, please, for the ascending feminine collective, highest and best messages for women who need to hear it, or men who want to know what's happening at the moment in the energies. Yeah, definitely. We are working up to something at the moment. This energy is really starting to July kick off, and then it will escalate throughout. So whatever we're moving into now, it's like an implosion. Like that's what I'm feeling. Like I can feel that coming in, something really big. And that may be moving through individually over the next month or so before we really kick off on a collective level. Okay. Divine feminine. The magician in reverse. So not able to bring anything through, not able to create. That's like that creation in the reverse. Magician is manifestation, not being able to bring anything through, not being able to create anything. Blocked. Seven of Swords, because your energy is being stolen, right? Blocked. People getting away with it, stealing your energy, manipulating your energy. Page of Pentacles, Knight of Pentacles, under the guise of giving, but actually just to be in your energy. So so here's the thing. If a man, cancel that, healthy masculine energy does not require access to your energy to provide sacred I can't get that out. Sacred masculine, divine masculine energy in its truest, highest expression does not demand access to feminine energy in a transactional way for provision. What we are seeing at the moment is men demanding access to feminine energy in return for provision and protection. That is not a healthy expression of feminine energy. It is a distorted expression, of masculine energy. Funny, I just said feminine. It's not a healthy expression of masculine or feminine energy, because when we are allowing access to our energy to someone who it has the energy of prostitution. It's kind of, that's the energetic dynamic of it. I know that's really confronting, but that is the energy of it. And that's been normalized, like within our belief structures, within patriarchal structures. Like we exchange energy in relationships We give our most sacred energy in exchange for provision and protection. And that is the foundation of patriarchy, right? But that is not the natural order because women were never, ever, the feminine was never, ever supposed to be in that. This is all coming up to be seen now. This is about the feminine reclaiming her energy and her power. Anyone in your life that is giving to you while taking your energy or while manipulating for access to your energy, this will be revealed now. 9 of Cups, wish for, in the reverse, wish fulfillment. So your blessings are being blocked at the moment, nothing coming in. So if you're giving energy to someone who is, not reciprocating it, or you're doing it under coercion or under that dynamic, that's where that's good. Yeah, see the Hierophant. That's going to be revealed and put back into balance. King of Pentacles in reverse. Instability. Yeah, what you thought was stable, what we are taught is stability. Here's the thing. Women have been taught to sacrifice their energy for stability. That is the program that the feminine has been carrying for thousands of years. And that's the legacy of patriarchy. This is starting to be deconstructed now. It is starting to come up to be seen. These belief structures are raising to the surface. It's divinely ordered. So this is everything's being brought to the light, brought to truth now, and balance restored. And it's not you or me doing it. It's the divine. This is divine order. That's divine order. That's putting things right, putting it back into balance. So anywhere you have considered yourself to be stable, but where your energy has actually been the stability, your energy has been what has been the foundation of that stability in a sacrificial way, this will come up to be seen. This is many, many relationships, many, many relationships. King of Pentacles in the reverse. So once women start, and we're seeing this now, as women start to have boundaries and start to honor their own energy and stop abandoning themselves, it's destabilizing men who do not know how to access their own stability. So if stability is dependent on your self-sacrifice, it is not stability. That is why women are so exhausted. That is why the feminine is so exhausted. And that is why we're getting to the point where these structures cannot sustain themselves anymore. There is no energy left in it. And that is why the earth is shifting in the way that she is. That is why women are starting to say, I have had enough. Dynamics like that are collapsing. Judgment in the reverse, 4 of Cups. Did not want to see it. There are many, many, many people who do not want to see this. What is the message? 6 of Pentacles, learning how to balance your energy and where to put your energy. Who to give to? Look how many hands are out. Who to give to? The feminine energy receives. So feminine energy is giving, 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 and not receiving, other than stability, protection, and provision. So here's the thing. If the feminine does not require physical protection and she can provide for herself financially, if she's safe and her basic needs are met and she can provide for herself, why is she giving to anyone else who's not giving back to her? This is what's coming up in relationships now and in dynamics. Many don't want to see it. Okay, why is Judgment in the reverse? 2 of Swords in the reverse and the Hermit. I'm telling you now, There are many this is I think this is a lockdown or some I don't know what it is, but, like, many, many people are about to be put in hermit. They're about to be shaken awake. Whoever did not want to see this is ignoring it, ignoring what is happening, what is being asked of them. They are about to be put in this, cannot escape it, have to go through it. Hermit is like being, when you go hermit, you go into a cave and you shine the light, right? And you don't come out until you see what you need to see. That is like dark night of the soul energy. Didn't want to see it being put in hermit. Divine, just heard divine order. Queen of Pentacles, yeah, looking at the home, how you give, how you build, nurturing. It's to do with the home. Seven of Cups, strength. Knight of Cups, who's giving you? Where are the cups? Priestess, mirror badass. Seven of Wands, having to defend yourself, being cut off from your intuition, cut off from your knowing, having to defend yourself, not being able to move forward, your dreams blocked. Whoever this is, I'm talking to a collective now who are in a relationship or have been. You might have moved through this, so this might be confirmation and validation of what you've been through. This is a collective of women who have recognized their own value and are looking at their relationships and how much they give and how little they receive, and how they have been under the illusion that they needed to be provided for. So, this is waking up to patriarchal structures and how they cannot fit into society anymore as it is. There's a lot of women are earning for themselves now. Like, we're not damsels in distress anymore. Women can provide for themselves. We can own property. We can enter into contracts. We can do everything that, and that's why they're trying to repeal those rights. So look, yeah, there's a lot going on around. It's like, yep, get women back in the kitchen, get them back into dependency so we can continue to control them, so that we don't have to change. And the men who are screaming about this is because men are benefiting from women's labor upholding everything. And the women that are saying, no, it's better off this way. The thing is, patriarchal suppression or patriarchal control is very rarely sold as that. We want to control you. It's often put forward as women are more comfortable when, or women are better supported when it's this and this. When they don't have to worry about contracts, when they don't have to worry about finances. So it's often sold the traditional life. And you can ask any reformed trad wife this. Yeah, you'll be happier because you won't have to worry about anything. But then women get to a certain point in their spiritual development, in their emotional development, and particularly women who move through matrescence as their kids get older, or they move through menopause, perimenopause, they get to their 40s. And you know what happens when you get to your 40s? Everything, you start to reevaluate everything, right? Women get to that point and they're like, hang on a minute. Why am I doing everything? What's in this for me? Like, it just, yeah. Or they start to, they start a business venture, or they want to earn something for themselves, and that's not part of the deal, right? Okay, a lot of women are waking up to this. It's going to be dark. Five of Swords, Eight of Swords in the reverse. Conflict, putting you in mental prison, playing mind games, or maybe hiding things from you. You're fighting a losing battle in this. Whoever's going through this, like, you're trying to reason with someone who doesn't want change. You are fighting a losing battle. Anyone who is wedged into this and does not want change, does not want to grow with you, if this is you and you're going through this, like you have no choice but to walk away. Otherwise, you're in this. Like you're in that. Your hands are tied, you're blindfolded, you're not allowed to have your own thought process, your own beliefs. You're not allowed, like your hands are tied behind your back and you're bound, you're trapped. The only choice here is to walk away. If someone's holding on tightly to the way things are, they know that you're unhappy and you want change and growth and balance, and they aren't prepared to work with you to get to that. You have no choice but to walk away. Look, this guy's got all the swords. This one's got no choice but to walk away. It's just defeat. You're fighting a losing battle. Can't even make it up. 9 of Wands fighting a losing battle. Like, been through it. Guarded. Like you can't even speak your truth anymore. This is very specific. You can't even speak up anymore for whoever is in this or has been through this. You can't even like raise any concerns or express yourself, your dreams, your desires, your opinions, beliefs. You can't even express it anymore without pushback. It's a hardening as people wedge themselves more into these ideological corners that that benefit them, that enable them in their behavior, that keep them comfortable. This is where anyone who's moving through awakening and going through growth and changing their belief structures and healing and doing generational ancestral healing, if you're going through that and you're with someone who's not and they are going to die on that hill, that relationship is never going to work. It is never going to work. And I can attest to that because I've been through it. Is never going to work. And the thing is, you can stay and lose yourself completely in that or walk away. And yes, it's hard to walk away. Yes, it is scary. It is grueling. It is awful. And it's not what we wanted. And particularly when we have children. But this is the choice point we're faced with now, where the feminine is like, as a collective, is like, am I prepared to continue the cycle where women are a resource to be extracted? Women want to be in their bodies. Women like you, women like me, we want to be in our bodies. We want to be in our truth. And for many, many of us, it's a choiceless choice. Like you don't get that choice. It's divinely ordered. And if you've got that path, that's your path. You don't get the choice. Things get so hard for you. Yeah, if you're on the sacred union path, there's the Two of Cups, right? If you have a soul contract and that's what you signed up this lifetime to do, you got to go through that path. You can't stay in something that requires you to split yourself or cut yourself off from the divine, that requires you to not be all of who you are. You can't. It will just get so hard and the cycle will like it will repeat, and it will just like divine will actually close it out for you. And I think that's what's coming for a lot of people. Yeah. So that's the feminine. That is divine feminine where she's at the moment. So there is a lot of resistance. But I think ultimately there's a lot of women that are about to be shown the truth. Let's close it out for divine feminine, then we'll move on to the masculine and see where the masculine is. This is the relationships oracle. So I'm going to close out divine feminine with one message around this and a truth. A truth. Just a truth to take away for divine feminine, please. Message out from this deck. There it is. Balance. Can you even make that up? Couldn't make it up if I tried. Balance. That is what you are being asked to look at. That is what you are being asked to correct, is what I just heard. Correcting that. The frequency of balance supports our ability to find harmony with all aspects of our three-dimensional and multidimensional layers of reality, all aspects of our physical and spiritual world. So balancing, that really confirms what I just said about having to disconnect from the divine, having to suppress our fullness, having to cut ourselves off from those cycles, from the earth, from the cosmic, from intuition, right? And that's what sends us into imbalance. So if you are with someone, anyone, whether it's an intimate relationship, whether it's your home or your family or friends or groups or work or whatever, like, put it where it fits. Wherever things are out of balance and you're out of alignment with your spiritual truth, wherever you're cut off from your intuition, wherever you have to suppress your own truth, wherever you have to suppress yourself or you have to sacrifice yourself or split off parts of yourself to please others, that's what throws you out of balance. And that is what you are being asked to look at. Where are things imbalanced for me? This is what will be shown to you. Look at that union under the deck. It's the next card. The energy of union activates our ability to unite our outer and inner aspects toward a state of wholeness. Okay, so once we start to bring that into balance within us, it comes into our consciousness. We start to have boundaries. We start to shift our relationships. That is where the energy of union comes in within us first, and then our outer reality matches that. That is balance. That's how we balance our inner and outer worlds. And once we're balanced in our inner worlds and our relationships reflect that, that then shifts things generationally for our children. This is how we end the imbalance. This is how we end it. This is how we end generational trauma. This is how we build healthier relationships, balanced relationships. And this is how we come into creation, because creation comes from the feminine being in her whole embodied energy. Okay. Not from a woman holding everything together, being the sacrificial energy that provides for everyone spiritually, emotionally, mentally, keeps everything running so that a man can sit in his place as the provider and protector. Because if the world goes to shit, right? And it is, what's going to happen when those men lose their jobs, when they lose their wealth? Hmm? Where's the balance then? Who's going to be holding everything together? That's a complete flip there. So we really need to start looking at that, where women's labor has been undervalued, overlooked, dismissed, extracted, taken advantage of. To uphold patriarchy, to uphold the status of men who feel entitled to leadership or who feel entitled feminine energy as the foundation, but that it's not seen as the foundation. It's not valued, right? So let's have a look at the masculine. I don't think he's going to get as much airtime as you, feminine, but we'll see where the masculine energies are at. Okay, this is a big read. Awareness, foundation, and achievements. Okay. If a man can't, here's something I want to say. If a man can't hold up a home, if a man can't run a home and do everything himself while still working, if he can't do that and his job's taken away from him and he can't run the home, he needs a woman to do it for him. How's his foundation looking? That woman's his foundation, right? Most women can run a home and do it all and still go to work and do, like, it's way out of balance. So this is what I'm getting. This is the download coming in now for the masculine. Masculine starting to realize, understand how his foundation has been set up, because a lot of men have been through separation now and are starting to realize that it's not as easy as they think it is to run a home, to make things run when you got to do it on your own and you got to go to work and do everything for yourself. Women have been doing that for a really long time and it's been expected. So we have outdated belief structures in a world that just it can't be sustained. And I think men are really starting to understand this. And it's actually taking a lot of men to be put in that to understand it. You don't know what you got till it's gone. All right. So a lot of men that have been through separation and really starting to look at how they've taken feminine energy for granted. Once you got to do it on your own, seeing what else? Heart chakra in the reverse. So blocked in the heart, deception and envy in the reverse, universe. Okay. So there's like, this is like a tower energy coming in for the masculine. Um, looking at deception and envy in the reverse. Why is that in the reverse? It's connected to the heart chakra. Emotional loss. Oh, so there's a heart opening coming in for the masculine. Looking at others. Okay. Here's where a lot of men are at. Been through a separation, didn't want the change, stuck in the old paradigm, stuck in those belief structures, pissed off that women, women said, no, I'm out of here. This is not working for me. So here's where a lot of men are. This is the collective I'm reading into. There are a collective of men, a very large collective of men at the moment, that are looking at their own belief structures and how they've built things in the past and how they are now building, and looking at how others have built differently in ways that they refused to acknowledge when they had the chance. So there is a emotional loss here, an understanding coming in, or they're being shown where they were being stubborn fucks is what I just it's yeah, looking at their choices, looking at the choices that they've made and now understanding that they don't have that option anymore. So they're being sat in this, universe is sitting them in this, and this is to get it's heart opening. There is a resistance to this. They know what lies at the other side of this. Yeah, blocked in material harvest. So a lot of men are really struggling now. Yeah, material and spiritual prosperity. So no material harvest. And now coming into the understanding, six being balance, right? Material and spiritual prosperity, understanding that spiritual prosperity leads to material prosperity. They are not separate. And so when we are sleepwalking through life, or when we are in dynamics where, one's not happy or both are just going through the motions, there is none of this. Nothing moves forward, nothing builds. That's the truth. That's a confirmation. Look at that. That's the truth. Right? These men are seeing this now. These men are starting to see and understand this now. So if you're a woman who's been through this and the feminine read resonated, this might be your ex, or it may be someone you're with, dealing with, looking back at the past if they're going through this, or it could just be if the general masculine collective preparing for the next wave of unions. Disruption in the reverse, heartache and loss. Yeah, heavy energy for the masculine at the moment, very heavy energy. A lot of regret, a lot of regret. Harsh, lesson to learn. Let's get some tarot. All right, masculine. Let's have a look at the masculine. Energies, please. Masculine woman watching is dealing with, has dealt with in the past. Masculine watching, any energies, any messages that need to come through specifically for the collective, general, and also specific messages only for the highest and best. What is the masculine moving through as a collective? What the moon? They don't know their ass from their elbow because they're deep in emotion and they are really struggling. Very emotional. In the dark, Page of Cups, don't know where to give, no joy. The Lovers looking at choices, choices they've made, choices to make. Feeling hard done by, missed out on a path. Ace of Wands in reverse, feeling blocked, missed opportunities. Tower in the reverse because they didn't let go, starting to understand, realize the mistake they've made and what it's cost them and where they're stuck. Everything's in the reverse here. The World in reverse, blocked. Two of Pentacles in the reverse. Stuck, being sat in it, really sat in it. And the only way out, yeah, Ten of Swords, like can't close it out because it's just cycling. The only two cards in this spread that are in the upright are the Moon and the Lovers. That tells me that whoever's moving through this group, this collective of masculine that is moving through this, they are being asked, and based on what I just pulled from that other deck, they are being asked to really sit in the emotion and learn how to process that. All right. Because emotion brings clarity. When you purge emotion, release emotion, when you're not suppressed in your emotional world, you have clarity. You're able to have clarity. Anyone who is emotionally suppressed, refusing to feel things and move through emotional release, they're not going to know their ass from their elbow, right? That is how we get clear. And this is the issue with these men who refuse to go through the healing with these women. They refused to sit in the depth of it. So a lot of women have moved through these massive awakenings, and it's been through the honoring of emotion and the releasing trauma, really leaning into that and sitting with it and coming into their own truth and really clearing that all out of their energy. That's how we release, that's how we clear karma. That's how we release ourselves from karmic cycles. That's how we grow, evolve, spiritually heal, transcend through the release of emotion. Emotion, energy in motion. If you can't feel, you can't heal. And if you can't heal, you can't manifest, you can't level up. You're stuck at the same level. And that's where these men have been stuck. They will be presented with another choice. The Lovers, they're being shown or being dragged, kicking and screaming into their own depth of emotion. No running. That is the only way forward for these men. They have no other choice. They will not be presented with any more opportunity, anything else, until they sit in the emotion, until they do the spiritual work. Feeling our feelings is spiritual work. That is the true spiritual work. You can sit on a mountain and meditate. You can go and drink cacao. You can go and do plant medicine. You can sit in ice baths and do your breath work and all that kind of shit. But unless you are willing to sit with yourself in your own truth, in your own darkness, and feel absolutely everything that has been unfelt and sit with the discomfort, all of your full range of emotion, unless you're willing to do that, you are not going to heal, grow, transcend, evolve spiritually. All right. So this is where the split's obvious. And patriarchy rewards suppression of emotion. So this is where these men were so deeply ingrained, so bound by patriarchal structures, belief structures, because it benefited them, it kept them comfortable. This is how it has harmed them, because the women have been through this now and they're looking around going, where are all the women? Well, the women are over there because they've done the work and you're stuck here because you still need to do it and you can't bypass it anymore. Masculine energy grows when it is faced with boundaries that it cannot override. That is when masculine energy grows. That is an initiation. And that has been removed from society. Ancient civilizations, original cultures knew this. That's why they had initiation. Those initiation processes through young men, boys, it put them through an initiation where they were faced with situations that they could not control and boundaries that they could not override. You are going into the jungle and you're not going to get out of it. This is your initiation. See you later. They can't override it. They can't kick and scream and try and get out of it or try and, get a woman to fucking sacrifice themselves for them or whatever or lie about it. Okay? This is the initiation for the masculine. Patriarchy ensured that there was no initiation ritual for masculinity. It was removed. So in our culture, patriarchal culture, there is no initiation for masculinity. And that is why we are at the state we're in now. That is why sacred masculinity is so rare. Sacred masculinity, embodied, mature, spiritually connected, healthy masculinity has faced himself internally. It is the man who has faced himself internally, and it is the same for the feminine. She has faced herself internally. So women have been through this. Just speaking generally, there's a lot of women that haven't, but just in general, looking at the collective consciousness where the feminine is at and where the masculine is at. The feminine has moved through this and the feminine's now standing at a threshold saying, well, we're here and we're not willing to engage with boys anymore. You must cross the threshold. You must go through the initiation because I'm not willing to engage with uninitiated men. That is what the feminine is saying to the masculine. You must move through this initiation. And that in itself is, on an archetypal level, when you look at the expression of that, that is the mother holding the boundary with the boy. I will not allow you to bypass this because it is essential for your growth. So I will not enable you to skirt around this. I will not allow you to steamroll my boundaries so that you can avoid your initiation and stay a boy and still enjoy the benefits of manhood without the initiation. So that's what's happening. Okay. What else for the masculine? 4 of Cups in the reverse on the world. Releasing disappointment, Queen of Wands, Queen of Pentacles. Finding their own expression of self-nurturing. These two women are faced toward each other. So they're feminine archetypes, the Queen of Wands and the Queen of Pentacles. So this is the internal feminine energies within the masculine starting to integrate those aspects, starting to starting to learn how to stand on their own 2 feet, but find within themselves what they are seeking externally or have sought externally from feminine energy as an external source to sustain them. So they're actually learning how to find that energy within themselves. Knight of Pentacles. And learning, okay, so the Knight of Pentacles in the reverse and then the Knight of Cups in the upright. So the Knight of Pentacles is about giving materially. It's about the physical world, like stability, security, money, wealth. Knight of Cups, so the cups are about emotion and spiritual energy. So learning that giving is not necessarily always about the material world. Learning how to give in a way that is not tied into those patriarchal structures around transactional. Okay, well, I'll provide for you physically, and you give me all the spiritual and emotional. Yeah, because that's where it's unbalanced. It's that unseen labor that has come from the feminine that has propped the masculine up. And you look at our world today, we have, like, most women and men are working. Adults have to work to like, women provide for themselves now. So it, like, that doesn't fit anymore. So if a woman is working and paying bills and running a home, and a man is demanding that a woman run the home and give the nurturing and provide the spiritual and emotional aspects of femininity, while the man is only providing material things and not reciprocating any of the emotional and spiritual energy, that's where things get out of balance. And this is where this is really starting to be seen, because a lot of women are starting to go, well, if I've got to work, I've built a life, I've had a career, built a life of my own, I've met someone, got married, had kids, I had my life, built my life. I would be working full time and providing, running the home, right? As a single person. And then they meet someone, and where did these men come from? Like, there's a lot of men that are demanding that women take care of the home and provide and nurture and do what women do, right? Uh, while they work full time. And there's this kind of narrative around at the moment where a lot of men are saying, oh, but men go out into the world and we work hard and we do and we navigate this and that. And women are over here going, yeah, so do we. Like, we're all adults, you know? Like, you want me to go to work, and you go to work, but you want me to do all of the home stuff because you think that your value in the world is greater than mine. It just, make it make sense. One, like, it was 1:11:11 as I said that. Make it make sense. We're all adults. So this is where, it's like women are being asked to give and give and give and give emotionally, spiritually, build relationships, hold together the relational fabric of the home, the family, everything. And men are cutting themselves off from that and overvaluing their material contributions while downplaying the importance of, or the value of, the relational aspects. Okay. So this is where emotional labor comes in, because the emotional labor of women that women have provided and continue to provide, or the emotional labor that is being demanded of women, is not being reciprocated. So that's where things are out of balance. So Knight of Cups is understanding that men can actually give more than material. And Knight of Cups comes in and gives love. He gives kindness, nurturing, romance. It's very noble. I like the Knight of Cups. Yep, Ten of Pentacles in the reverse and Three of Pentacles. So this is about learning who to give to and how to give and how to build and how to work together, with the understanding that everyone does have their place, but everyone also needs to work together in a way that is collaborative. We don't just come in and demand that this person does this and that's that. Everyone has their own strengths, talents, but we also must work together in a way that is harmonious and balanced. Sometimes one is not going to be in their own strength and the other is going to have to pick up the slack. And when you see this in a workplace, right, where it's like, oh, I can't do this aspect of my job at the moment, can you help me out with, like, in a happy functioning workplace, people pitch in and help each other out. It's not like, nah, well, that's your job. You're not going to say to someone who has a broken leg, that's your job. You still get up and go clean the windows, get up on the ladder and do this. Like, we're going to work together as a team to try and redistribute things. And so the thing is, women are so exhausted at the moment and they're picking up the slack for, the masculine provision, women are having to work and provide. So picking up extra there, but also being asked to carry the full load of relational responsibility and domestic duties and that outdated crap. So I hope that's made sense. That was channeled. So I'm not sure if it made sense to you because I can't remember exactly what I said or how I said it. So King of Wands actually looking back at how he has been, yeah, stubborn, stuck in his old ways, looking at the Queen of Cups, going, oh my gosh, how did I let that go? A lot of men out there had a good woman and let her go, let her walk because they weren't willing to see it. They're like, no, she needs to change because this is the way it is. Well, fucking guess what, mate? It's not. I've been there. I'm still hated for it. But you know what? I'll never sacrifice myself. I will never sacrifice my soul or my connection to the divine or my desires and dreams as a woman, my happiness, for somebody else who refuses to acknowledge me as a human being, as a whole human being. Lesson learned. So that is the masculine. Still very defensive. That's an energy there that didn't like that, didn't want to hear it. So let's close out the reading now for the masculine. A lot of relationships are going to be moving through this now, and we're going to have to talk about it more. You know, it's not something that can't be healed. See, hopelessly devoted, where there's devotion and nurture, there can be healing. Things grow where they're watered, nurtured, where there's light on them. We shine light, we nurture. That's where things grow. And it takes two to tango. How's that for a finishing message? Future. That's the key to your future. Yeah? This is what the masculine has to learn. Can't expect devotion, cannot expect devotion from a woman while not returning that. Like, the, it just, no, that's old. Okay? Women did not willingly give that devotion. The feminine historically was not willingly, of her own free will, devoted to the patriarchal masculine, she was coerced and institutionally, legally, politically bound to that role because she was stripped of her rights. All right. Some women, many women willingly, right? I'm not saying all women, but we need to look at historically what has happened to the feminine, how the masculine has benefited from the feminine being bound to that. I am more than happy to run a home, nurture a man. I would have been happy with that in my relationship had I been met with the same level of devotion, an equal amount of devotion, understanding, nurturing, patience, kindness, warmth, compassion. More than happy. But when your cups are not filled and you're just expected to be in that role because that's the expectation, like women are just not. There's a difference between willingly being in something and being coerced and expected. There is devotion and there is extraction. So the thing is, the same outcome usually comes when devotion is given. Everything that those men want from a woman, I guarantee you, and a lot of women will agree with me, they have a lot more energy and they're more willing and happy to, like, a lot of women are just happy to do all of the housework. Like, I don't care about that. I'm happy to do all the housework. I do it anyway, right? You're happy to do that when you are nurtured. when your energy is nurtured, right? And the same for men. Men are happy to provide and do all of that and be the providers, and they have more energy to do that when the home is taken care of, if the woman is if that's where her energy is and it's devoted to that. So where a man and a woman are both in agreement and they're both meeting each other with love and warmth and compassion and agreement, and it is a mutual decision. It is not through expectation. It is genuine mutual partnership. That works. But where it's an expectation because of ideology and one decides for the other because that's the norm, that's imbalance. That's extraction of labor, right? Key here is the genuine warmth, nurturing, compassion, filling each other's cups. So let's finish off with the masculine connection. There you go. Where there is connection. So masculine's starting to understand that is his lack of connection that has left his life empty. Where was he disconnected? The masculine has been disconnected for a very, very, very long time. And I just wrote an ebook on this called The Lost Masculine. I have two ebooks. One is The Feminine Under Contract, and the other is The Lost Masculine. You can find them at the link. Go and have a look. That just jogged me then. The Lost Masculine really dives into this, the masculine's loss of connection to himself. So if that resonates, yeah, go and have a look. Check it out. The frequency of connection supports our ability to find alignment and resonance with others, things, and ideas. It's our connection that allows us to really resonate, be in relationship with others, and to also collaborate, build, and grow things, not just go and build something or just pay the bills or, when a man and woman are in true connection, when the masculine and feminine are in true connection and really seeing each other, really devoted to each other's dreams, ideas, opinions, beliefs, feelings, when they are both giving equally and both holding space for each other, that's where abundance grows. That's creation energy. So that closes out the read. Thank you for being here. It's going to be an interesting ride the rest of this year. This energy that is really starting to escalate now. So I'll have to watch this back in July or August and see what's shifted or what's come. But intimacy's come out again. I just had that on the split. So there's a lot about that at the moment. I will leave it there. I hope this has been helpful for you. Please go to the link in the comments, support my work. I am a single mum with 3 kids. I do this work for the upliftment of humanity. So if it's resonated with you, you can buy me a coffee. You can get my ebooks, get the initiation manifesto. You can make a contribution in any way, shape, or form you like. If you can't make a financial contribution, that's totally fine. Help me to share my socials. Just engage in any way you can. I really appreciate any energy given back. It's how we grow. It's how we acknowledge each other. I always do that for other creators. Just a simple like, just when you've engaged with someone's content, give back. Always give back energy. I love you guys so much. Take care.